Donald Trump is weaker right now than he has ever been in every single way. Politically, Donald Trump is seeing resignations across his administration and in Congress. He is in complete cognitive decline, and physically, he is falling apart. It's no longer just makeup on the hands or the cankles being on display. Donald Trump is struggling to walk, and he was caught struggling to walk at the White House in a video that is blowing up his health crisis once again, and we are going to get into it. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into this video and talk about how it is blowing up Donald Trump's health crisis, which the mainstream media refuses to cover, I want to start with someone who is actually bringing attention to this and how it's leading to a more radical Donald Trump, and that's AOC right here.
To be honest, the president's remarks I think, indicate a level of instability. It's not just shocking, it's not just offensive, it's bizarre, it is erratic, it's volatile, and I think it indicates a mental state that we should all be questioning right now, whether that's emotional, mental, what have you. It is not normal to make these accusations. It is not normal to invoke these kinds of threats of violence. And it's also not normal to also dramatically misquote, as Carolyn Leavitt was doing, what these members of Congress said. They made a very clear message to U.S. service members, which is that you do not have to obey an illegal order. And I think that's an important message to reiterate because this administration seems to be increasingly trying to go down that path.
This administration has refused to give us any insight into Donald Trump's health, or I guess I should say deteriorating health, and that really scares me. Donald Trump has always been radical. He's always had authoritarian tendencies. He has always lashed out his enemies and threatened them with political violence. But if Donald Trump is becoming more unhinged, and I know it sounds difficult for Donald Trump to be more unhinged, but if he is that way because of his deteriorating cognitive state, we should know that. Donald Trump is just a Truth Social post away from getting Democratic members of Congress, really anyone in America, incredibly hurt, putting people in grave danger. We have seen this again and again and again this year, and the people talking all about Democratic rhetoric and how us calling out the guy who called himself a dictator is putting him in harm's way, then maybe they should check themselves. But it is clear that Trump is in cognitive decline, but the White House wants to say the opposite.
You recently said you'd check with President Trump about why he needs to get an MRI on his recent trip to Walter Reed. Do you have any more detail on that?
I do, and I'm glad you asked. As stated in the memo provided on October 10th, President Trump received advanced imaging at Walter Reed Medical Center as part of his routine physical examination. The full results were reviewed by attending radiologists and consultants, and all agreed that President Trump remains in exceptional physical health, which I know all of you will see with your own eyes later this evening when he opens up his dinner to the press, and perhaps you will see him when he signs the bill to reopen the federal government. So stay tuned on plans for that. Thank you, everyone.
First of all, no one actually trusts Carolyn Leavitt on anything, so we don't have to worry about anyone trusting her medical opinion. But we know what's going on with Donald Trump. This is not a don't believe your lying eyes situation, and that's what's happening across this administration. They're telling us to not believe that prices are up. They're telling us to not believe that they're starting wars. They're telling us not to believe that Donald Trump is in cognitive decline, but he is, and more Democrats like Gavin Newsom need to be saying things about this.
And increasingly, this president appears unhinged, unmoored by reality and facts, seems listless. He seems, dare I say, in decline, cognitively and, dare I say, forgive me, perhaps unfair, physically. And these are just rantings of someone that needs an intervention, needs some help, needs to be stabilized.
We see what's happening, and we are going to be the ones talking about it. The mainstream media won't. It's upsetting to me that not enough Democrats will as well. But I've always said this, and it's true in this video, that Donald Trump is the person who brings the most attention to Donald Trump's health problems. Just look at this video of him wobbling around as he's walking. He can't walk straight. It looks like his knees are hurt or his gait is weird. He's like going back and forth like he's an ogre, which the fat fuck he is. Like, yeah, Donald Trump is a gross, disgusting person, but he can't walk. Like, he cannot walk straight. We have seen this before. We have seen him dragging his cankles around. We have seen him, going from side to side, being uneasy. And if that was Joe Biden, the MAGA media would be losing their minds. So I'm tired of us not talking about this like it isn't important news, especially if, again, Donald Trump's cognitive decline is going to be leading him to act in more radical ways, lashing out at Democrats, putting people in harm's way because of his extreme nature. That is what is happening right now. You cannot watch that video and tell me that Donald Trump is all right and everything is fine with him. It is just another cover-up that the White House is engaged in. They have been covering up his cognitive decline. They have certainly been covering up his physical decline. And the mainstream media has helped him. And of course, this is not the only cover-up that the mainstream media has aided the Trump administration in. You should hear the CNN interview, and we have to check this out. And I'm saying you are going to want to hear this because it will make you never want to turn on CNN again, which I assume if you're watching this show, you have long abandoned. But listen to just the insanity that CNN is pushing, running cover for Donald Trump on the Epstein scandal, in an interview with Jamie Raskin.
But are Democrats losing the moral high ground on the Epstein issue by defending her as you have?
Well, look, we've been demanding a complete release of the file, and now they wanted to discipline her, censure her, because she'd engaged in that text exchange with a convicted criminal. Of course, our Republican colleagues engage in text exchanges all the time with Donald Trump, who has 34 felony criminal offenses to his name. So I don't know exactly what she's being charged with there. My point was simply she had not violated the Constitution, she had not violated federal law, and she had not violated, to my knowledge, any rule of the House of Representatives.
The moral high ground? Are you serious? Donald Trump is a pedophile, covering for other pedophiles. And you're asking if Democrats are losing the moral high ground? First of all, this isn't about moral high ground. This was never a political fight. It's the reason why Joe Biden didn't exploit the stories of these survivors in his 2020 campaign, saying that he was going to release Epstein files that at the time people weren't talking about. Joe Biden didn't make a big show and do a whole song and dance and throw himself a parade when he put Ghislaine Maxwell in prison under his administration. That was real justice. Do Democrats have the moral high ground there? No, we weren't caring about what the moral high ground, and yes, actually we did, but that's not what it was about. That's never what it's been about. What we want right now is transparency, because if Donald Trump is going this far, doing everything he can to block the release of the files, and now that they're forced to come out, Pam Bondi is already slow rolling, she's already putting obstacles in place. Of course we should want transparency, but on top of that, are you telling us that a Democrat who, of course, shouldn't have been texting with Jeffrey Epstein, and if they didn't know of Jeffrey Epstein's crime, I guess it makes it more understandable. If they did, of course you shouldn't, but this is someone with real information about Donald Trump. Are you saying that we shouldn't investigate the Epstein files now? Like, again, we don't need to run defense for this member of Congress, but I think to equate these two things or even bring it up in a conversation in which we still don't have the full Epstein files, and this is what you're focused on instead of what is in there about Donald Trump? What is going on at CNN? Like, I know what is going on at CNN. I know that the corporate media is wholly owned by Donald Trump and the right, but it is an insane thing to suggest that Democrats are trying to cover for our own. Like, we don't care. This has always been about justice. This has always been about transparency. And to try to spin that into anything else is just gross negligence. It's journalistic malpractice. Jamie Raskin was so stunned during this entire interview, and it's no surprise. He has been one of the loudest voices, and not only demanding transparency about this administration and Donald Trump's last administration, but of course what's happening with Ghislaine Maxwell right now. No one has been on that beat like Jamie Raskin has. The House Judiciary Committee has been bringing forth whistleblowers to expose it. It is why he was just, no other word, but flabbergasted right here.
Just to follow up, even if no one in the Democratic Party is implicated in being part of Epstein's ring, if there are more communications that come out, right? I mean, are there any discussions about how to handle that? Because we've already seen the fallout from that with other Democrats and Epstein.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know what to say about it. It's a sign of the times here that everything is viewed through such a partisan lens. I mean, if there are people involved with a child sex abuse trafficker, if they committed crimes, then they should be investigated and prosecuted with all the protections of due process. And if they were just involved in some kind of social relationship or whatever, people can figure that out. I mean, that was the whole point about Stacey Plaskett. You know, for some reason, he had Stacey's phone number. They'd been in communication. And so she takes the hit for that publicly, that they communicated, but nobody's accusing her of having committed a crime. And nobody's accusing her of violating a rule of ethics. It's not against our ethics rules for people to get texts in Congress. So the whole point of the rule of law is that we can make these kinds of distinctions, and they shouldn't be difficult to make. There's a difference between, you know, flying to Jeffrey Epstein's island and engaging in sexual abuse of minors, and then somebody getting, you know, whatever, a phone call or a text.
Right, and as you know, Congressman, you've been in Washington a long time. There's the legal aspect, right, and then there's the politics of it, right, and those are two separate issues. Congressman Jamie Raskin, thank you so much for your time. I hope you have a nice Thanksgiving.
Yes, indeed. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
We don't care if Democrats are exposed. We don't even necessarily care if Republicans are exposed. We just want people exposed, those who have committed crimes. Now, we believe Republicans will be exposed, because why else would they be going so far as to cover this all up? And, you know, if those people who are already morally bankrupt, and we know this, we can continue to demonstrate how morally bankrupt they are. I'm not going to say there's a win, because it's not about getting a win, but, like, the truth will come out. The truth must come out. But for the mainstream media to frame this fight, and for Abby Phillip, who, you know, for as ridiculous as her show is, I don't really blame her. Like, I guess that's the job that she does. She's not booking it. I don't think that having Scott Jennings on all the time is her idea. But for her to say in an interview that she recently did that she's kind of tired. She's tired of the Epstein files. Why do we have to talk about this? Can we just move on to something else? We've talked about it too much. Maybe we should talk about Hillary's emails instead, or Joe Biden's health, because those stories, we didn't even cover those. The mainstream media loves nothing more than to obsess over a nothing burger when it's a Democrat. But when it is pedophile protection by the most corrupt administration in history, can we go on to something else? Like, does anyone have some green tea? Can I just, I'm a little worn out from Epstein. Are you serious? It is batshit crazy. It's why we have to do this job, and it's why I appreciate this community willing to call these people out and support us doing that. And if you want to continue to support this show, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Keep on fighting, y'all. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.